Max. How are you doing? You done well? Doing good?
Oh, I know. It's a great group.
This is really cool.
Since I don't know how this stuff works here. So how does that still know? This is just better for me. Are you ready? It is with great pleasure that we welcome our former Chancellor and now President of Florida International University, Dr. Rosenberg, to the stage for the presentation of the information about FIU. I would ask, before you begin your presentation, if you would take a minute to introduce the colleagues who are there with you at your table. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am very pleased to be here today, and I want to congratulate the board, the staff, for all of the hard work to bring us together in this way. This is, in fact, for me, the realization of a dream that we started, as many of you board members know, conversations that we started about four and a half years ago. So it's very gratifying to be here today, and I want to thank the board and members of the staff for continuing to pursue this more strategic and rational approach to how our system operates. I'm pleased to be able to share this table with the chair of our Board of Trustees, Mr. Al Dodson, as well, trustee, Florida Student Association Vice Chair, Student Government Association Chair, and most important of all, political scientist, Helena, who will soon graduate, we're told, Helena Ramirez, who is here, our provost, Doug Ortsock, is on my right, our CFO, Ken Jessel, is on his right, and our Associate Vice President for Education Policy and Budget, Debbie Galley, is to the right of our CFO. I would ask our chair of our board to begin the conversation. Mr. Dodson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Madam Chair, and to the board, we're very pleased to be here to talk about FIU. Over the years, we have looked at where FIU has come from, and we're here to tell you that we're going to talk about FIU, which stands for the finest institution in the universe. You will hear that, and other institutions will allude to it. But if you look at our name, FIU, it stands just for that, the finest institution in the universe. And we're laying claim to that, and that has caught on, and people from China to Puerto Rico to Mexico is now saying FIU, the finest institution in the universe. And we are saying that. We will keep saying it, and you will come to know that after our presentation this morning. We thank you for having us here, and Mr. Chancellor, we know how you feel, and we just know that you're going to be pushing that too.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to begin now, Madam Chair, and let me say first of all that if there was one belief that defines who we are, it's our ability as an institution to turn the impossible into the inevitable. For proof, look at what you see in front of you. Less than 40 years ago, we opened. And we opened as a 2-year institution on an abandoned airfield. Today we've become a large research university with world-class faculty and programs that attract students from all over the world. About 175 different countries are represented on our 2 campuses. As a Hispanic serving institution, we award more bachelor's and master's degrees to Hispanics than any other 4-year institution in the nation. We're very proud of that. Where you sit is where you stand. That's in part who we are. We also award more bachelor's degrees to minorities than any other university in the United States. And indeed, we're a key driver of economic development, innovation, job creation in one of the most dynamic cities in the world. We focus on research in areas related to health disparities, to substance abuse, to disaster research and mitigation, to nanofabrication, nanomaterials, transportation, environment and sustainability, and education. And we're increasingly focusing on strategic partnerships where we play a major role in tackling our region's most pressing problems. We not only see ourselves as an education center, but as a solution center for our region. We also have a major presence in the arts community, and I know arts haven't been discussed much over the last day or two, but we're privileged to have at our university not one, but two accredited art museums, and I'll come back and talk about that in a moment. When I became the FIU's 5th president just last August, it coincided with the need, I'm happy to say, to update our strategic plan. And therefore, you will soon see our new Worlds Ahead strategic plan where we're developing our vision as an anchor institution in South Florida. But let me in short tell you what our vision is, and that is to be a leading student-centered urban public research university that is locally and globally engaged. So basically what we're doing is we're keeping the research part, we're increasingly focusing on being student-centered, and we're increasingly mindful of the need to be both locally and globally engaged, and I'll explain how that works. Okay, fast facts. Basically, we are a vibrant, student-centered public research university. We feel that our location is indeed ideal for who we are, so we're ideally located. We're committed to learning, to research, to innovation, to creativity, to entrepreneurship and engagement. Indeed, our students have to be prepared to succeed in a global marketplace. Today, we enroll more than 40,000 students, about 41,000 to be sure. We offer 181 degree programs. We award almost 10,000, we awarded 10,000 degrees this year, including nearly 200 bachelor's degrees to students, to Chinese students in China. I'm happy to say 60 of those students will be coming to FIU in August to study their master's degrees in hospitality management, and they are paying the full freight on their own to study at our School of Hospitality and Tourism Management. Our student-to-faculty ratio is 27-1. We have about 3,500 full-time employees. Where Carnegie classification is as a research university, high research activity. We consistently report about over $100 million in NSF total research and development expenditures. When I became president, I had to figure out what we were going to be doing. So let me just share with you what's going to happen with FIU in the next 10 years. In the next 10 years, we're going to graduate another 100,000 students. At least 85,000 of those students will stay right in the local region. They'll become leaders of industry and commerce. They'll become mayors. They'll become city managers. They will be the future of our community. We'll inject more than $10 billion into the South Florida economy. We'll conduct more than $1 billion worth of externally funded research, and we're going to spend more than $500 million, and that's what we can see today in new construction for FIU. These are impressive numbers, ladies and gentlemen, but the truth of the matter is, just like the system, we are about the students. So let me just take a moment and talk about what brings us together in the first place. The three ladies that you see on the left, the young sisters, Jacqueline, Justine, and Jasmine, they have just graduated as the top three. They did just graduate as the top three students in their class at Freedom High School right here in Orlando. The youngest of them, Jasmine, graduated from Freedom at 14 years old. In April of this year, they graduated from FIU, and they're well on their way to successful careers. Two of the sisters are coming right here to the UCF College of Medicine, and one is going to the University of Florida College of Pharmacy. We're also proud of our student athletes, upper right-hand corner, like Garrett Whittles. Over the past few months, the nation's eyes have been on Garrett as he pursued the NCAA Division I hit streak record. In an incredible season in which our baseball team won the Sun Belt Conference, Garrett racked up an amazing 56-game hit streak. There's only 2 people who are better than that in the history of baseball, professional or interscholastic. Joe DiMaggio, who I think you've all heard of, he's at 56, and Robin Ventura when he was playing baseball in Oklahoma. So we're very excited about Garrett, but he's not just a great baseball player, he is a very good student. If you've seen his interviews, you see that he has the character that gives us all pride in what we're doing in the state university system, and certainly at FIU. Notable alumni, Danny Pino, Cold Case fame, author Dennis Lehane. Some of you have read his books or seen his movies, Mystic River, Shutter Island, and of course the mayor of Metro-Dade County, Carlos Alvarez. But we also like to think that we have an impact not just on individuals, but on families. So in the lower right-hand corner is the Gonzalez family. They have had 12 members of their family, 3 generations, graduate from FIU. It's one of the first pictures that I took when I became president. I'm so proud of that. Some of you have asked a question about strategic approach that our universities are taking. Well, we've identified 4 areas where we intend to excel. The first is in the arts, through our College of Arts and Architecture and our 2 art museums, including the fabulous Frost Art Museum, that is the product of the work of Patricia and Philip Frost. We have an extraordinary capability to ensure the students of Florida get a high-quality arts education. We also are focused upon environment. Clearly, we can't do enough on environment these days. Our focus is on shallow water, coastal, environmental issues, and we have moved to make sure that we could do it right, we moved almost all of our environmental scientists to the Biscayne Bay campus in North Miami, where they are building a world-class capability to respond to a range of environmental challenges. In fact, Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz spent almost the whole day with us 2 weeks ago learning about the critical issues related to this oil spill. The third area is international. When this university was founded, we were founded with an international mandate, and through our new School of International and Public Affairs, through cutting-edge faculty who are working on a range of issues, Latin America, the Far East, Europe, we feel that students can get a superior education that is internationally focused through our school. And then finally, health. Health is probably the defining issue of the 21st century, and we've had a 15-year strategic plan to gradually ramp up our health capabilities to the point now that I have the privilege, together with our board, of working to craft an academic health center that is a unique, interdisciplinary approach to health. Not just medicine that you spent a lot of time on, or public health that this board approved several years ago, but bringing together our nursing school, bringing together our biomedical faculty in our College of Engineering together with our biologists in our College of Arts and Sciences. So we're very excited about this new academic health center, and what you see in front of you is the academic health center in its planning stages as it will evolve on the Modesto Medique campus. We also have been spending a lot of time, in part as a consequence of the reaffirmation of SACS accreditation, on developing a global citizenship initiative. You will not find many universities in the United States that mandate that their students take at least 2 courses focusing on global issues. Well, we not only do that now at the undergraduate level, but our College of Law, which this board was involved in creating, mandates that first-year law curriculum have a comparative aspect in every course at the first-year level on how that issue, torts, felonies, judicial process, is dealt with in an international and comparative context. And finally, I just came back from awarding the degrees in China. We have a site at the Tianjin University of Commerce, a 200,000 square foot building which houses our hospitality school. Tianjin is a small city of about 11 million just south of Beijing, And in consequence of China's rapidly growing tourism market, we were invited to come in and develop this capability, which is rapidly expanding, and which, by the way, is developing a very positive bottom line for the program. We think community partnerships are critical for us. Perhaps the benchmark program is neighborhood help. This is the centerpiece of our new Herbert Wertheim College of Medicine. In short, neighborhood help sends first-year medical students into communities, low-income communities, to help people stay out of emergency rooms and stay out of hospitals. Our 43 students are each embracing households with which they will interact for 4 years as medical students to ensure that there is an appropriate level of preventive health so we can save the state millions of dollars in emergency room and Medicaid costs. We also have a groundbreaking initiative with Metropolitan Transport Authority. I know many of you have spent time in Miami, know that we have a bit of a traffic issue, and we're attempting to develop smart transportation systems and grids, and that partnership is going to bear results, particularly if any of you have traveled on E36. That's now going through a retrofit in which we've been involved in designing that multi-million-dollar retrofit. Finally, let me ask on the issue of collaboration, our student, Alina Ramirez, to talk about what we're doing in the city of Sweetwater.
As a larger engagement in collaborations within the city, we have partnered up with the city of Sweetwater to provide an outreach to those that could really benefit from the resources at FIU. And a part of doing so would be to really target the low-income families that there's a lot in the city of Sweetwater, enhancing the quality of life for the Sweetwater residents, and we would be doing so through educational internships and research, arts, and athletic engagement within the schools and community, as well as the trailer park that there is in Little Abner. So we're doing that on behalf of the Honors College at FIU, and it's been an amazing partnership that a lot of students have benefited from, as well as the community in regards to that.
Our philosophy is, as a neighboring city, that the better Sweetwater gets, the better we'll get, and the better we'll get, we hope the better Sweetwater gets, but we're actively engaged in that process. We also have spent a lot of time thinking about our educational partnerships. A number of you raised questions about that. Miami-Dade College is a critically important partner in 2+2 with FIU. And as well, we're spending a lot of time with the school superintendent, Alberto Carvalho. The Miami-Dade County Public Schools is one of the largest public school systems in the United States. We feel we have a special responsibility to make sure that our high school students perform at the highest level. And that's not just because as educators we're committed, but the truth is we provide about half the teachers for the Dade County Public Schools. So we've spent time, as you'll see in the photo there, we've gone onto the radio stations, particularly the Hispanic radio stations, the Spanish language radio stations, to make sure that the community understands the importance of education and hears from the 3 senior public education officers in the county. We've also opened a new academy for advanced academics at the Medique campus. 100 high school students from 6 surrounding high schools are taking all of their courses at FIU. Advanced placement courses in the afternoon and their dual enrollment courses in the morning, mingled with our regular students. We're very proud of that partnership. So working more closely with our educational institutions is fundamental to who we are. Now, this board has spent a lot of time on New Florida. And in our view, our institutional mission is directly aligned with that of New Florida, that universities can be can be a pivotal driving force in Florida's prosperity. Indeed, we must be. What's our niche? Well, our niche is that we've assumed a leading role in Florida and nationally in awarding degrees to minorities in general and Hispanics in particular, as I've pointed out. We rank first in the nation in the number of bachelor's and master's degree awarded to Hispanics. We rank very high in the number of overall degrees in the STEM area awarded to minority students. That's a niche that we have established benchmark programs for and that we're spending a lot of time on now. And specifically, we believe that as it relates to New Florida, we will be increasing degrees awarded at all levels, as I've mentioned. We'll increase research expenditures. We'll increase numbers of degrees to underrepresented groups. We'll increase the number of STEM degrees to underrepresented groups. And we're going to increase the graduates from our strong programs in transportation, in environment, in international business, in construction, arts, and culture. In the work plan that we submitted, we have 3 primary goals for the next 3 years. First of all is to improve student support and completion. We know we can get better there. Second is to enhance research and graduate education. And the research increasingly will be solutions-oriented, focusing on bringing practical solutions to challenges that we have in our community and in our state. And then finally, we believe that expanding community partnerships is critical to our credibility, and particularly bringing together experts from county, state agencies, from nonprofits with our experts in looking specifically at critical issues that we're confronting. And I'll show you how that works in a moment. In order to meet the need for higher education in our community, we expect to enroll an additional 2,000 students each year for the next 10 years. This will result in a compounded growth rate for us of about 4.6%. This is greater than the 2.9% compounded growth rate we've experienced over the past 5 years. We see this happening through a combination of initiatives that we'll be taking, but certainly we're going to be shifting more of our capability to online education, for which there seems to be an insatiable demand. We will increase the percentage of enrollments at the graduate level by about 1.5% in the next few years, and we're committed to maintaining our student-faculty ratio, which is very important to what it is, and to improving our 6-year graduation rate by more than 2%. Let me point out here something that we haven't talked about in the last 2 days, at least very much, and that is that nearly over 40% of our students are part-time. They have no intention of being full-time students. We have the second largest percentage of part-time students in the state university system, and that's very much part of our mission, so that we would like to make sure that we can be responsive to those part-time students, but we need to be mindful of the fact that by definition part-time students have other responsibilities and obligations, but yet at the same time feel the need to have a high-quality education. We have to maintain our commitment to that, and therefore that may limit ultimately what kind of 6-year graduation rate, if it's aggregated across the range of students full-time and part-time, that we will be able to produce. And I know this has been an issue for the board. It's certainly an issue that we're very mindful of at FIU. To accomplish our objectives over the next 3 years, we plan to hire over 100 new faculty. We plan to replace 160 adjuncts with 20 full-time instructors. We need to add 33 advisors, and we intend to upgrade 36 classrooms to state-of-the-art media facilities. Our growth will result in the next 3 years, we'll move to about $125 million in research expenditures, and we're going to graduate more than 350 students with research and professional doctorates. We also expand our professional partnerships. We're on the cusp of announcing 2 major new partnerships. One with a nonprofit that will have a significant impact on research and the application of research in South Florida, and one with a major Fortune 500 company in our community. But we're not yet ready to talk about those fully. Differential tuition. In order to talk about differential tuition, rather than hearing from me or one of the professionals, we thought we would ask, again, Helena Ramirez to speak to that.
Thank you, Mr. President. The students see it as truly essential for a quality education at Florida International University because it would be benefiting students by providing new faculty, advisors, library resources and services, as well as disability services. And with that, FIU students would be at a better posture, providing better resources to our students' education and overall university experience. This would allow for more investment in research that would in turn better the faculty and programs, which would mean higher value to our degrees, and in turn would allow for more job opportunities and give back to the South Florida community as well as the nation. So we really see it as something that would be extremely beneficial.
And here again, what we're trying to do is keep our student-faculty ratio from becoming any worse than 27 to 1, and we expect to move our student advisor ratio to our goal of about 300 to 1 over the next 3 years. I think you wanted to...
I was just going to encourage you to wrap up because I want to leave enough time for questions from the board, please.
Correct. Okay. I want to assure the board that we understand the challenges presented by differential tuition. We understand that we cannot continue to add new programs without being mindful of the need to make significant budget reductions. So let me talk about that. FIU has made hard choices over the past few years. We've closed 40 degree programs at all levels, including a doctoral program. And it was a functioning doctoral program. However, it wasn't functioning at the level that we thought it needed to function to be consistent with the quality of our other programs. We've laid off 48 faculty and 65 staff as a consequence, and an additional 77 faculty and 46 faculty positions were freed up through attrition or unfilled, or positions that were unfilled. We do want to add a few degree programs, which I will not talk about now. These degree programs are directly aligned with our strategic areas of emphasis. We'd be happy to talk about those in the question and answer period. And then finally, a university in the final analysis is not just about the students that we have passion about, but it's about the faculty. So I just very, very briefly want to talk to you about three. Bill Pelham, we just hired Bill Pelham. Bill Pelham brings with him a research group of around 20 faculty and postdocs, multi-millions of dollars in research from the NIH. But most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, Bill Pelham is one of the world's leading experts in attention deficit disorder for kids. And he's spending most of his time in the Dade County Public Schools testing what works. And he's also a specialist in helping parents work with their kids to cope with attention deficit disorder. Our Associate Dean of Faculty in our College of Medicine, Dr. Pedro Jose Greer, just won the Presidential Medal of Freedom for his work with the homeless. He's an incredible example for our medical school students. And finally, Ophelia Weeks is one of the talented faculty who runs a program called Cubic, which is an advanced program for our medical school students, like the Young Sisters who you were introduced to earlier. Those are just three examples of the incredible faculty who work at FIU. I'd like to conclude, Madam Chair, with a brief video that is wholly made by FIU. The music comes from our group that we're proud of, graduates called Black Violin. These are student graduates from the inner city of Miami who applied their passion for classical music with their understanding of the music from the communities from which they came.
Was that it?
Thank you.
That was like too short. Any questions from members of the board? Governor Tripp.
Thank you. I'm glad to see my good friend Ken Jussel. I know your financial affairs are in good shape. Two questions. Earlier, someone questioned the issue of 2+2, and I heard you say on the other side that it's alive and well, and so is this something that the board needs to be concerned about? Are we seeing maybe in some areas failure of our system to understand what we have in place, the 2+2, and that we need to concentrate on protecting it? You're dealing with a huge institution, Miami-Dade, but it sounded to me like you're saying you still have a good partnership with them.
We are working hard not only to maintain it, but to deepen it, because we recognize that Miami-Dade is a major educational institution with a very specific mission. They are offering baccalaureate degrees in select areas. We don't feel threatened by that. We think it's a great compliment to our community, but we also know that most of the students who graduate from Miami-Dade are going to come to one of our state universities. So we're working very diligently on that. But I think, Mr. Tripp, that each of our 11 institutions is going to have a different relationship. I'm not too sure that one size fits all. I know that when UCF speaks to the board, they're going to talk about a different kind of and very incredibly strong partnership that they have. So I don't think 2+2 is dead at all. I do agree that there needs to be a broader strategic plan. About 10,000 students, new students, come into FIU every year. About 3,000 of those are graduates carrying Miami-Dade Associative Arts degrees, and probably another 1,500 from Broward Community College. So we're working that very, very directly.
My second question is, is it feasible to really think that we're going to lower the student-faculty ratio much more than what we sort of see out there? Everybody talks about the issue that we need to keep lowering student-faculty ratios. You know, given the cost today, the salary structure, the economic times we're in, and on the other side, the ability for faculty to interact in whole new ways. I mean, are we pushing something that really doesn't make sense for the future? And should we be looking at other ways to interact with the students? Should we be requiring, some different things of faculty out of the classroom so that we have a different kind of interaction and we can save some of this enormous expense? Because if you double the number of faculty to take them from 28 down to 14 to 1, that's a huge salary impact.
I'll ask Provost and perhaps CFO to respond to that, but just let me say at the broader level that our goal is not to lower it, but to maintain it. We recognize that it would be probably very difficult under the current budget scenarios to lower it. I am, as part of my first year president experience, meeting with all of our faculty in groups of 30. And one of the issues that has continually come out is how we develop strategies in this era of reset to maintain and enhance quality in context where the numbers will continue to grow. Frankly, I think our faculty are up to it, but we also, through SACS, have done some things to make sure our student experience is not just good in the classroom, but out of the classroom.
Yes. There are a couple things that we've been doing specifically to address this. In the last 2 summers, we've been holding workshops for faculty. We pay them a small stipend. I've really never seen a faculty group get together on a teaching improvement workshop that come back with greater enthusiasm than our faculty have. And the workshops have been focused on what's called the team-based learning approach, whereby you're able to have a very large classroom, but then part of the class is not lecture, but part of the class is the students working together in teams to prepare and present what they have learned both in the class and outside of the classroom. So it's a different approach for having a very small group learning community in the same time you're teaching very large classes of 500 students. The other thing we're doing is we've been for the last half dozen years aggressively putting a lot of our material online, so that not only have we developed the capabilities for the fully online courses and the fully online degree programs, but we really use those techniques and those same capabilities to enhance the courses that are being taught to large numbers of students, so they have a lot of individual-based progression in the classes as they're taking the classes, so they can proceed at their own level through the internet access to keep up with the large class.
Governor Hussaini?
Thank you.
President Rosenberg, you brought up a point about having 33 new advisors. Is it, and we've been hearing that from a lot of presidents about role of advisors. Is the role of advisors are growing? As we have I mean, you can get everything online, you can look at it, you can check it yourself, students themselves, what do the advisors do? Why wouldn't you want to hire more professors than advisors and bring the number of percentage of, students to, in a classroom and you prefer to, I'm just kind of puzzled, when I went to school, we were just talking about this last night, we really didn't, use our advisors, and we got given a book and we looked at it and went to see advisor once, and that was it. Can you expand on that, please?
If you wouldn't mind, I'll ask our provost to address that issue, because we have had a lot of discussions about it and why it needs to happen.
So you are right that with technology one can do a lot of advising, and we are indeed doing a lot of that. But what we find with our students is that even though they can look at a sequence of courses and identify that online, what they really need are advisors that are going to be telling them the best courses for them to take as they're moving forward. And among the suite of courses they might have available to choose which ones are the best in their career. The other thing our advisors do, they really do some tough love, because they have to sit down sometimes with students and tell them, you really have always had your heart set on being a nurse, but look at what you're doing in these particular courses that are crucial for that profession. And so don't drop out of school, but think about taking a different degree. And so that's what the function of advisors is, not the sort of thing that we got out of the book when we were going to college, but it really is much more an intervention and a tough love approach. And so that really does require more a higher ratio of advisors to the students. The national benchmark for this is 300 to 1, and that's what our goal is going to be at the end of 5 years. So we're still significantly greater than 300 to 1 in terms of students to advisor.
Just let me say, Mr. Governor, that I think that in the final analysis, our universities can do the high tech, which we have to do as a necessary condition to be competitive as we move into a world of e-learning. But it's not sufficient. I think the high touch will be the part that keeps our value proposition relevant. And the high touch is not just a function of the specific classroom experience. It's increasingly a function of the value added that counselors, that advisors, that extracurricular, that co-curricular activities can provide. That's where we're going to keep our competitiveness.
Governor Martin?
In terms of your student advisor ratio, you indicated that you want to go to 300 to 1?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, in the information on page 11, it says 400 to 1. You currently...
Right. That's our 3-year goal, and our 5-year goal is 300 to 1.
Okay, your 5-year goals, okay.
That's right.
Because you're currently at 557 to 1.
Right, yes. So 3 years, 400 to 1, and 5 years, 300 to 1.
Okay, very good. Could you talk a little bit more about your partnership with the Miami-Dade Expressway Authority, since transportation is something I'm keenly interested in?
First of all, let me say that one of the nice things about working in Dade County is that wherever you go, you'll find FIU graduates. I'm happy to tell you that about half of the professional staff in MDX are FIU graduates, which obviously facilitates the partnership. But I'll ask the provost, who's been one of the craftsmen of this, to give specifics if it's okay.
Yeah, what we have done in working with MDX is that we've established a room in the engineering complex where there's exactly the same wall of video monitors and the same bank of computers that the Traffic Central has for managing all the traffic in South Florida. And what our students are doing and our professors are doing is they're able to see how the traffic managers are operating under the various conditions, and those individuals they have to react immediately to address the traffic problems, but they don't have a chance to really assess how they're doing. So what we're doing is we're really doing the assessment part of it, the evaluation, and thereby coming up with ways of improving how they're reacting on a moment-to-moment basis to handle the traffic flow.
And in that, Mr. Martin, we've also become an advocate for the busway paid toll lanes that have now, you see, populating I-95 north and south. Why is that important for FIU? Because the 836 expressway, which is a major feeder into FIU, if it doesn't modernize, we're not going to be able to have the impact in our community, getting faculty and students out into the community, as well as getting the community to FIU. And so we're working very closely with MDX on that modernization of 836. We feel we have to be an advocate for a high-quality public transportation system, and increasingly that's coming through our Layman Transportation Center, the expertise in our College of Engineering.
Thank you.
Governor Edwards.
President, you heard FGCU talk about their public service requirement for graduation. I heard you talk about your medical school and the requirements that you had. Could you elaborate on that a little bit and tell us how that works?
Elaborate on the medical school part?
On the medical school, your freshmen, I believe you said, are now required to take roles in the community, what that is and how it works?
We have not explicitly mandated through the curriculum what is called service learning or engagement. However, we increasingly, as an institution, recognize why that's important, and even more realistically, our students like to have practical experience in the community. So we just created an Office of Engagement that has as one of its responsibilities increasing the number of internships in the community to give our students additional opportunities to get practical experience. So that's at the first level. At the second level, our College of Medicine. For our College of Medicine, the experience of sending people into the community is not seen as an adjunct to their medical education. It's seen as a pivot in terms of our students understanding the causes and consequences of sickness and how to improve health. So as a requirement, as part of the curriculum, our medical school students go into the community to spend time with households, and that we've identified a series of households that they will work with through the entire 4 years. And they will be mapping the health conditions of the residents of that community during the 4 years, and then they'll be passed off to new medical students coming in, with the view towards learning about how we can improve the health of people who otherwise don't have access to normal medical care. That's obviously a multidisciplinary exercise. So our nurses are going in, our public health specialists are going in, and it's all under controlled conditions. So by the time they come out of the 4 years of medical education, they will not just be focusing on a particular sickness and how to cure it. They'll be focusing on how to prevent sickness from occurring, which in the final analysis is probably a better way in the long term to get our healthcare costs down.
Let me just also add to that the LCME has accepted this as the equivalent of the family medicine rotation in their education process, and both the Dean of our College of Medicine and the Dean of our College of Nursing and Health Sciences have both been making presentations around the country about this really innovative idea that other medical schools are now very interested in.
Any other questions? With that, thank you very much, Dr. Rosenberg.
Thank you.